Hey guys, welcome back to Pepper Geek. In today's video, I'm going to do sort of a follow-up on a previous video where I took you around our grow tent, and it's been a couple of months, so I figured I would give you sort of an update. We're coming to the end of the winter, so we're going to be sowing our seeds for outdoors, and this setup is going to change drastically in just a couple of weeks. So I figured I'd show you how far we got through the winter, some of the fun projects that we are experimenting with, and if you haven't seen the previous video, I'll link to it below. It's basically the Grow Tent Tour Part 1, and this is going to be Part 2. So without any further ado, let me get behind the camera and show you where we're at today. So here's the complete setup. We have one grow light up on the upper right, and then on the bottom there we have our Aerogarden Harvest, which has a 20-watt built-in grow light. Let me start by going through the grow light itself. So we made a change here. ViparSpectra reached out to us and actually sent this light over for our review. And we wrote a comprehensive review on the light on our website. I'll leave a link down below if you're interested in getting a new light. And so far I can say I would highly recommend this light. It has some major improvements over our previous light, which was the HLG 100 V2 from Horticulture Lighting Group. One of the improvements is the heat sink, which you can see here. These are intended to radiate heat away from the LEDs and prolong their lifespan. It's also water resistant, so I don't have to worry about spritzing the plants or any water damage to the driver. You can see the rubber where the wire goes into the driver. And the actual LEDs underneath, they have a silicone coating over them, so those are also water resistant. But the coolest feature is this dimmer knob here. So you can go from 5% all the way up to 100%. At 100%, this light draws 150 watts of power. This is the Pro Series P1500 from ViparSpectra. Very nice light. It's a little bit heavy. That's the only disadvantage that I've noted so far. And it comes with this sort of ratcheting thing. So this is also an improvement. If you saw in the last video, I was using this watch to hang the other light. But this is definitely a little more professional. So now let's move over to the Aerogarden. And we're just growing one plant in here, although it might not look like it. That is just one plant, and it's the Thor's Thunderbolt pepper variety. You can see there are some purple leaves, sort of beautiful coloration. Those anthocyanins activating, that's the purple pigment that is activated by light. And the peppers are sort of a purpley, peachy color when they're ripe, so I'm really looking forward to getting some pods. This variety is, I think, an F5 or an F6, and it was developed by Chili Seeds. I believe they're an Australian company. I don't know much else about what the cross was to develop this pepper, but if you know any information about Thor's Thunderbolt, let us know in the comments. I would really be curious. You can see there are tons of flowers developing under there, lots and lots of buds. And I'm just using the Aerogarden nutrients, topping off with water. There's a little bit of algae buildup, and things are going well so far. This is one of the plants we're going to keep going into the spring because I definitely want to see this through to fruiting and collect some more seeds because I only have a couple left. Now moving over under the ViparSpectra, I'll start with this plant in the back, which last time wasn't even sprouted. And now you can see it's pretty much the largest plant that we have in the tent. This is another experimental pepper variety we got from Farouche Peppers. He calls it the Blue Ghost Pink. It's basically a purple ghost variety, and you can see once again lots of anthocyanins, the purple pigment. These leaves are basically black. It's just gorgeous. And it's basically in the flowering stage. We see a lot of flowers. See lots of buds. And we're in this is about a 1-gallon pot, and that is just Happy Frog soil from Fox Farm. It's an organic potting mix, so going well. This here is Crystalline's other experiment, and we have a visitor. Hello. Oh, are you hungry? Yeah. Okay, you can have that. This is the Santaca Pepper variety. This is an annuum variety. I was shocked at how productive this is for such a small container. That's probably about a quart-sized pot there. It's really not much. But we already have probably 10 or 12 peppers and more coming. These flowers produce so much pollen for such a small bushy plant, but I'm excited to try these once we get a ripe pod. And while we're in this vicinity, I've been using this grow tent since it's so well aerated and it has been pretty dry. I've been drying seeds in here. These are just seeds from a fresh Fresno pepper that I bought from the grocery store, and those are pretty much ready to be stored. Fresnos are delicious, by the way. Kind of like a jalapeno with a little extra heat. Coming forward, we have our pepper in a can. I did a video about this and I tried the first ripe pod that came. This is a Kangstar Lemon Starburst plant, actually 2 plants. You can see the second one there, but you can see we have another pod coming. This one is still green. Really delicious peppers. I'm saving all the seeds that I can from these, and I'll be hopefully giving some away in the future and definitely planting another plant or two for the spring. But given the small growing container, we've really only been able to produce one pod at a time on this plant, but it's been a cool and really fun project. Oh, you just need to be pet. Okay. Moving to the right, we have our bonsai. Let me move this out of the way. You can see this bonsai plant is going okay. I think I should have chosen a different soil medium for this. I think it's just not really holding nutrients well, and we really haven't been able to have more than one pod developing at a time, and I've been reluctant to pick that one even though it is fully ripe. This is the CGN 21500 Capsicum Chinense variety, so definitely a delicious pepper there, but I'll probably do a follow-up video on this whole process of creating this plant. Pretty cool. So this rig behind the bonsai, you can see it connected there. This is actually taking a time lapse of that pepper right there ripening. So this is just an old phone that we've been using for time lapses, and we've gotten some pretty cool footage, and hopefully this will be cool. This will be including this footage in an upcoming video on crossbreeding peppers, because so that pepper right there is actually a result of cross-pollinating between this plant and the plant that's to its left, which I'll get to in a minute. This is the Naga Brains Yellow, so that's a really big pod. I'll get my hand there for some reference. You can see it's pretty big, pretty gnarly looking, and these are really tasty. So we cross-pollinated this plant with the other plant that is being grown hydroponically, and we have some ripening pods as well, and that is the Zupai pepper. Very different looking plant, and of course pepper. You can see, just look at the weird curls on this and sort of flat tops. It's been really fun watching these grow, and there's tons of them, very productive. This one in the back is pretty much ripe, so we'll be taste testing that one pretty soon. You can see this plant has been struggling a little bit. It's made some recovery. Been trying to keep up with nutrients and overall hydroponic care. It's definitely a different world than soil, so it's been a learning experience for us, and I'm very curious to see what happens when you cross that pepper with that pepper. We also wrote a comprehensive article on peppergeek.com about how to crossbreed peppers. It has a really useful worksheet that you can use to reference if you're trying to crossbreed your own peppers and make a new pepper variety. So I'll leave that down below as well if you're curious. And of course there will be a video coming on how we crossbred these two plants right here. Okay, so that's going to be it for now. I hope you enjoyed this second tour of our grow tent. Things are going to change drastically in the next couple weeks when we plant all of our seeds. I think we have something like 50 or 60 new varieties that we're going to be growing this year. Lots of fun, interesting seed varieties. So I hope you'll subscribe to Pepper Geek and stay tuned for that in the upcoming months, and we'll see you in the next video.